Welcome to the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show, a broadcast service of globalbusinessnews.net.
Now, here's your host, Ed Cohen.
Hi, this is Ed in San Diego, and you're on a Global TV Talk Show, broadcasting from globalbusinessnews.net. Over 1 million reader or audience page views since the site was launched in '03, and almost 150,000 since the pandemic started us in this business, Global TV Talk Shows. Our special guest for many times since we began, thankfully, is Diane Devitt. And she is a professional media trainer and executive producer of her own stuff, and an author and a professor at NYU. Hello, Diane.
Hi, good to be back, Ed.
It's good to have you here. So we're going to talk about do's and don'ts of media prep. And as you can see, my hair is a little crazy today, but the lighting is good.
It'd be a good subject.
Someday it's better than others. So tell us, Diane, how would you prep me better than what I've done for myself here?
Well, I want to say one thing though. People, we're all in broadcast right now, and there's no escaping it. I just heard something yesterday that, yes, as live and in person comes back more and more, there'll definitely be that as a choice. But one of the experts predicted a 60-40 split, meaning 60 in person, 40 hybrid.
Could be the other way.
Could be the other way, depending on a variety of factors, right? So what led me to this whole interest with media presence, right, since COVID started, is that my years as a producer and working with executives like yourself in meetings and events always demanded a rehearsal. You would never plop yourself on the stage before a general session without making sure the lights, the camera, the sound was all working, and that your gestures were right, that your speech was delivered the way you wanted it heard. And it's that same concept that just transitions right over to being on a screen, because things have evolved so much since COVID started. This and this and all of this and this, still exist.
We've all done it.
We've all done it because
Yeah.
we all, suddenly we've got cameras in front of us, and none of us were maybe trained to be anchor people or be in the news, or the few of us that have production backgrounds understand different things, but the majority of people, it's all new. And so when COVID first hit, and we then found out different Zoom and meetings and Teams and all these different platforms to see one another, we were ecstatic. But now, because it's part of our lifestyle, we're now sort of at the 2.0 version of it, where it's not acceptable to talk to me when you're in your bed.
Right.
I don't want to see that.
Right.
All right.
I don't want to see the cushions.
No, I don't want to see the cushion. I don't want to hear your children. I don't want to know there's trumpet lessons in the background. We're over that.
Right.
We're just over it, because life goes on, business goes on, and how we portray ourselves is critical to how we're perceived.
And we're connecting the dots, like that image behind you.
I'm glad you put that together. So, so this discussion that we're having is, I'm not coming to you as a Zoom or a Teams expert. That's all part of the media presence training I do and collaborating with different people. But I think you and I are having a general discussion of how can the average person, the everyday worker, the person who's online all the time, increase their media presence. And that, like I say, that to me is something that's going to be ongoing, whether you're a student in school or you're an executive at a major company.
So somebody is going to ask you a question, a silly question. So let it be me. And is Mondays better than Fridays? Or is Wednesday morning better than Wednesday afternoon
For what?
for doing a broadcast?
Um,
Or it doesn't matter?
I don't think it matters anymore because it's depends when you start marketing it, doesn't it? So, in terms of marketing, and I defer to my social media team all the time for this, the best times. I mean, if I'm sending a personal message out, I'll send it out on a Friday. Because people have downtime on Saturday and Sunday to catch up on on the more light part of their lives. A lot of people are still working on the weekends, but that for the most part. Now, if I want an important message to come out, then I'm going to maybe send it out on Sunday afternoon so you get it, or maybe Monday, because Monday morning you're barraged and you're still catching up. Tuesday, you're getting into gear. So it really depends on the objective of the message, I think.
It's a really good point.
Yeah,
So-
when you want to get out there. Yeah.
Does it matter where your workspace is when you're on camera? Like here, I'm positioned in a dining room, all right? And yet I don't want to show anything else. I just want this red wall behind me and the brown, and it looks good. And I'm happy with it.
Two things, all right? And that's a great question, all right? And this is a choice that I'm going to challenge you with. Yes, a solid color wall works, all right? You have a global PR TV program, or do you want branding for that of some sort in the background? The big microphone that you have, and when you first come on and on the website and all of that, is that a choice to go in the background? Now, say you said to me, yes, Diane, I'd put that on there. What would the effect be? Now, I deliberately used this background because this is my professional background, and I have one with my name on it, in fact. But where we've evolved to, and this is what we're talking about, where we evolved to is when I'm on a call networking, or I'm on a call where I'm having a casual conversation with you, I don't have this background. I have my office background or a more informal background, because I want to say to you, I'm approachable. I'm not presenting to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Now,
And with you, I mean, think about it, Ed. You're sort of the David Letterman or the Johnny Carson I'm using older names because I don't want to put any favorites out there like for nowadays. Because even a Colbert, right? They all have sets, but really at the end of the day, it's about them looking at their guest without any distraction.
Yeah. So up until recently, I'm going to show you this picture. You may recall, it was behind me.
Oh, I remember the picture, Ed.
Yeah. Okay. This is Venice.
Yeah.
Okay. With a nice picture. All right. But I found it to be, I got sick of looking at it. Okay. And I found it to be a distraction because it's beautiful when you look at it from a distance, but not up close because it's too big.
And
so,
it has nothing to do with your brand.
No, other than being global.
Yeah, other than being global, but
Right.
but Venice is one out of how many cities?
Yeah, I know. So I decided that I want to focus on me, and in a provocative, almost vibrant setting, not calm. I don't want that.
Right.
All right.
Right.
And because I've taken pictures, I've got pictures that I took of Maui rainbows, Maui sunsets. It's wonderful, but that's not what I want to get across. What I want is to focus on me and on the guest. And that's it.
So if I switch
So
to this,
like that, well, I can't see anything behind you other than the light on the rim of the world and the stars.
right, but my point is that this is fine if you're speaking to someone at night, And it's not, or if I were an astrologer or an astronomer, and I mean that sincerely,
Or Captain
Right.
Kirk,
or
right?
Captain Kirk, or, this is, again, am I from San Francisco? Right?
Right.
Now, the thing is with virtual backgrounds, and let's just talk about this a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
What you see
I
right,
happen to like that.
well, what you see right now is a green screen.
Right.
So whether it's a pop-up screen or it's a piece of green fabric on a frame, in order to have a professional background, you need a green screen to pick up the color, right?
Yeah, that's what
Um,
it is.
And that is the purpose of a green screen. When I don't want this to happen, I lower the green screen and then I just have a solid color wall,
Yeah.
like you do, which is fine and not distracting. I also have a variety of colors in different screens, white, blue, because I like predominantly solid colors behind me. To your point, is it's about face-to-face communication, and I don't want you to just be distracted in the back,
Yeah. Okay.
unless it's branding
Yeah.
and it's appropriate and we're talking about it, right?
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
let's talk about content. And this is a talk show format, okay,
Yeah.
rather than a speech or a webinar. So in to me, a talk show format is the ability to gesture and see, and yet I don't sit back. I'm sort of up close, and it works to my advantage. Okay, but other people don't want to be this close to the camera.
That's a really good point. Okay. Funny enough, I'm prepared for the answer. So on my desktop in front of me, all right, I have my monitor screen, but I have two cameras. So when I'm on a call where, it's talking heads, literally, like this, you and I right now, okay? Or let's just change this a minute and look at the difference, all right? Now, this, I haven't moved. I haven't physically moved. I'm in the same chair.
Totally
same-
different.
Totally different. What is the feel to you?
I feel as if you're on Meet the Press.
All right. Ask me anything you like around. I'm sure everyone would love my opinion on the world.
So what kind of a microphone is that? And what kind of ear do you have? Because right now I've got these.
I'm not even on headphones now because I'm
Yes.
actually using the system speakers. When it's quiet in my environment, I opt to use the system speakers. And I have a list that I can send you for when this is produced of different equipment that I use. But the two cameras. So do you see the difference between this one? Now, what this says, and I can sit back and I can gesture and I can be in a meeting. So this is a lot more interaction, allows you to see me. All right. Although typically on a camera, you don't want to be using your hands because you distract people so much. But if I'm in a meeting with you, this is a little bit more approachable. Number one. Number two is I'm a little further away. So in production, we're always conscious of space and what we call the fourth wall. You know that from theater. Theater is the fourth wall, is the distance between the first aisle of audience and the stage. There's a real sacred space there. Well, when I'm sitting back a little bit, I'm actually also distancing myself from you physically versus being, the opposite, which here we go. And here I am in your face.
So let me comment here. When it's a one-on-one or me plus 2 or 3 guests, close-up is better because of a gallery approach to the screen. But when you have more than 3 people, then everybody is like on Hollywood Squares, and you can't even see their face. And if somebody has a big nose, that's what you're going to see.
Well, yes, but also remember on the upper, if you're on Zoom, if you're using the Zoom platform, on the upper right-hand side of your screen, it says view, right?
Right, right.
So if you go to gallery view, you
Yeah.
see one format, right?
Like I just switched out of gallery, and I'm now a tiny speck, and you're big screen.
Yes, but here's the advantage of the view that you're in now with speaker view,
Yeah,
is that, and this has to do with how you look at the camera. So do you perceive that I'm looking at you right now?
yeah. I can
Yes.
see your blue eyes.
Oh, thank you. Well, the fact is that I can see you peripherally in my vision, but what I'm focusing on is my little picture that is right underneath the camera. So what I tend to do on Zoom calls is that I minimize, because I have such a wide monitor, I minimize the screen size, right? Which
Yeah.
you just do like you would do any document. And I focus on the little thumbnail, almost as if I'm looking at myself, because it helps you feel like I'm connecting with you.
So so that's I don't know what to call it. That's the one person doing everything kind of approach. So I haven't done that for the last 20 months because Paul has been involved. And so on the Zoom, as you know, you get audio, you get text, you get speaker view, and you get gallery view. So you get like 4 or 5 files. And if you have a screenshot of something, that's a whole other thing.
Right.
Okay. So
Right.
There's a couple of things that happen when you have a producer involved who's off site, but monitoring them.
Right.
Okay. So first of all, the cost goes up. Okay. All
Yes.
right. Labor costs. All right.
Yes.
And then the cost of time of not only the producer's time, but the time once it's done is to put all this stuff together
Mhm.
in some kind of a show. Okay. And people don't understand that. But when you look at the program I sent you with you and Stephen and me, you are going to see how Paul organized that,
Oh,
going back and forth between speaker, dissolve, gallery, dissolve,
mhm.
and then inserting the book cover images. I mean, this is a Hollywood deal here.
Well, he made it broadcast quality, because
Right.
people are not going to just sit and listen to talking heads. And I think
Right.
there's a couple of issues too, again, Ed, which is why I am committed to working, especially with a C-suite level or a department and team, a whole department and team, because there's so many variables. Just to you, is it one-on-one? Am I on a gallery call with a lot of with many people? Do the people know how to minimize their screen? Because if you have clicked what's called speaker view, and you have the little thumbnails on the top, you can actually fast forward the thumbnails so that the person who's speaking you can look at in that. So there are ways to manage that help you with your own experience on it, right?
Yeah.
That's all being said if it's conversant and it's a meeting. If you're in a presentation, totally different, right? My little thumbnail that you see is off on the corner of the PowerPoint or whatever the presentation is, so that not to distract people, right? So again, there's a lot of things that people are learning. This is, to some people, they'll be rolling their eyes saying, no, that was so last year. But a lot of people still have to catch up. Now you mentioned that you working in a dining room and that's where your studio became, right? Because it works for you in your situation.
Right.
If people don't have space and they're still working out of the corner of the room. Getting an
Very, very
inexpensive,
difficult.
very difficult, getting an inexpensive screen. These, I often recommend these 3 or 4 trifold screens. They're self-standing. Just something that doesn't distract. Again, there's one in my training, I'll say to people, find a space that has little or no distraction or something about you. One of the gals I worked with loved books, bookshelves, fine.
know.
We've seen 1,000 bookshelves.
Right.
Another gal loves records. She has an actual 33, excuse me, record collection. Well, that's unique, but it's not distracting because it looks like a library the way it's set up. But I think people have to be aware of lighting, sound, and just comfort, because I mentioned to you how I'm adding the wellness component into this. I think it's so important. But
So wellness can mean fear, and fear of failure, or fear of looking like a jerk, or fear, or
Yes.
fear of coming across as Mr. Know-it-all.
yes and no.
So-
And then also, but one thing we didn't be, before I go into that, and actually fear can tie into this, is some people just say, oh, my company had a call, my department had a call, I don't go online. Now, a lot of them don't go online because they don't have the proper background in their house that they're working on.
Meaning they don't want to be visual.
They don't want to be visual, excuse me.
Right.
But again, moving forward, I don't think that's going to be an option for many people unless you're on a
Yeah.
call with 100 people or 10,000 people where you're actually kept off camera. But if you're in a department meeting, I know me, I want to see you.
Right.
If
Because
this
you
is
wanna
our
have-
only option for connection, I want to see you.
Want to have the
So-
relationship. So,
Yes.
which
have
is
the
a good
relationship.
point. Now, like for instance, this, this is not a PR thing. It's just an explanation of the different kinds of situations that I'm finding myself in. So for instance, this afternoon at 5 o'clock New York, 2 p.m. here, I've got a Zoom video call with a client, an actual advertiser, and he's bringing on the call a woman who works for him, who's supposedly doing marketing. And he didn't want to do any prep with me. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going to happen here. We haven't told anybody we're going to do it, so the world doesn't know it's going to happen. But we'll see. So that's almost like, that's a consternation. That's not really a fear of mine because I can manage stuff anyway. But a lot of people can't deal with that kind of a situation. Now, let me jump forward to this Friday at 12 noon Central Time.
Mhm.
I'm broadcasting from Mexico City and Chile, Santiago, and here in San Diego. And it's a program about Latin America, mainly Mexico, as a global business hub
Mhm.
because of increasing global trade, global business. Mexico City has become a major economic center, not only for Mexico, but for Latin America, almost in competition with Brazil, with Sao Paulo in particular. So the show is the third in a series of focusing in on the growth of the middle class in Mexico and across Latin America as a result of an increased global trade.
Mhm.
All right, so we have different people coming on, and there's only going to be 4 or 5 people, but people from different backgrounds, and most of them haven't met each other. So I'm going to be, of course, moderator and do my Johnny Carson thing. So I like doing it, so it's not a sweat to me, and I am prepared. So that's very, very different than what we're doing. And then on December 1, I have one of my omnibus shows. I call it Omnibus. Remember that TV show? So we have a lot of things going on. And so it's called Global Voices for Change, whatever that means. It sounds like it's a do-gooder thing. But it also relates to how people have reacted to the pandemic and how things have changed as a result of working from home. And then the idea of going back to the office and what kind of boss relationship do you have, or did you have, and will you have? And everybody's nervous about this kind of thing. So we have a lot of different voices on the show.
You have a lot of different voices and you have a lot of different concerns. Professional meeting planners and producers this past year have had to learn a lot very quickly, number one, but number two, also had to erase the misnomer that an online meeting costs less and is less time consuming. You're speaking about having people on from 3 different countries. As a producer, that tells me that 2 days or 3 days before that event, you want a rehearsal time so that every single person, you set up a separate Zoom or one Zoom. When I was producing my shows, I had one rehearsal time and I would ask different people to come on different times so that we could do a run through. I could see what their background was. I could see if they had the proper lighting. You know, do you have a ring light? Is the light ahead? Now, you wear glasses. I have glasses. I have the blue light, which I told you I highly recommend to people. And I also recommend from a wellness point of view, closing your eyes and squeezing your eyes and doing circles like a clock in front of you and then reversing it every hour on the hour. You can't over exercise your eyes, our eyes are taking such a taxing right now. But anyway, getting back to the rehearsal, it's critical because you don't know what that person's environment is in the background. You don't know their bandwidth. You don't know how they're set up. We all make presumptions. We're working off of so many different types of technology. So the time, the rehearsal, and the expense, which you brought out, to have a proper technical person in the background is critical from a business point of view. Yep.
So let me ask you about the blue light idea. Is there a special eyeglass or something?
Yeah, you can order these online.
Yeah.
It's a defects from the screen, the rays from the screen. I mean, there's actually protectors you can put on the entire monitor there. But I know these are prescription glasses with blue light filter in them. You don't realize how eyes get dried out, right? So eye drops, I recommend, the other part of my life is as a yoga teacher, and I'm extremely aware of the effects that being at a desk, sitting too long have on people, not sitting correctly. And as part of the media training, I teach people, put your 2 feet flat on the floor, have a rolling pin under your desk so that you can massage your feet during the day, because massaging your feet is like, it gets the blood flow going up.
I got something. So I'm sitting at a tall table, a high table.
Good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
but feet dangle down.
Oh, your feet dangle. Yeah. Okay.
And so I've got this side chair here, and I've got my left foot on the bar underneath it, right, and my right foot not dangling, but on the bar underneath the chair. It's almost like a bar chair, right? And so I didn't used to do this. I just used to let my feet dangle or be down. And then after I get up from the program, I'd have swelled feet.
Oh, yes.
And that would hurt. And if I didn't get out, walk right away, I'd have a problem that evening.
You know what, Ed? For sitting at a high top table or an elevated table, I would also recommend to you is they have these bicycle that you can sit
Oh.
in place.
That's a good idea.
Nobody knows. You know, the other thing that's online is, which is wonderful, I'm actually just ordered one myself, is a device where you can, this has been around for a while, where you can actually stand at your desktop and elevate your screen and your camera. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So
now
in
there's, but
fact, but
yeah.
see, I have this now.
Oh,
See?
excellent. Yeah.
Whoop,
Whoops, I'm losing you.
Okay, there I am.
But the other thing that
Well,
I
I could
really
stand.
like,
I could
well,
stand if I
I,
wanted to.
yes, and the one new thing that I saw just recently is that it's on a swivel. So it allows you to take that bloody screen and swivel it away so that you can just sit at your desk and do writing without a screen in front of you, which makes someone like me happy, because I don't like looking at a screen all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, like from a production point of view, sound, camera, have some kind of ring light. I mean, there's so many choices out there now. Have a background of some sort of green screen or a sheet or a folding screen, something that depicts who you are, because we're all branding ourselves right now. And you have a lot of guests and audience who are in human resources,
Yeah.
relocation,
Yeah. Almost more than half.
more than
Yeah.
half, right? So
Yeah.
they're selling themselves. We're all selling ourselves all of the time, aren't
All
we?
the time.
All
Yeah.
the time.
In fact, I have a series that I've been poking at for the past year and a half on executive thinking. So I've got, pardon me, with Stephen and some other people, all about the impact. My notes here, sorry.
Mhm.
Old school, I write things down. See?
Well, that's happened.
So-
Old school, and writing things down happens to help you remember. So that's a good thing. I
Yeah.
have paper right in front of me here. See, write things
Yeah.
down.
So the question that we had yesterday with this guy, Dr. David Weiss in Toronto, is how do you retain the best employees? This is from a C-suite mentality, all right? Question, people are leaving and they're just walking away from things, and that creates an opportunity for finding somebody better. But questions, how do you retain the best employees? What's the culture in the business as a brand adjunct, and how can it best be explained? And the other thing is, how do you get feedback from people who are strangers, but they have a fresh look? So you should listen. And so, so this guy calls it a chain of excellence. Repeatable, sustainable results from doing something, anything, but coming from top down. What do you think about that? Is that too general?
No, I actually just wrote, well, we're going to talk about it, I think, in the upcoming show a little bit, because I've been asked this question
Yes, right.
a few times from different CEOs, right? Now, it's a totally different subject, right, from then media presence, but also media presence could be part of it, because how are you communicating with the people who you perceive might be leaving? Is it only on screen, or should you be meeting with them in person?
Yeah, both.
Both. And I think that that's where, when you talk about some people leaving, there's a variety of reasons and so many dynamics, obviously, that are going on with this. But
I'll tell you what I've noticed. Now, it's not an old thing, it's just becoming more common, that in addition to me doing my shows like this and with Stephen and with others, which is like every day, at least an hour, is that I'm communicating now by video message, short, and just sending that clip as a communication rather than me leaving a voicemail or sending an email message. I just send them a video clip of, well, here's what I want you to think about, and please get back to me, if you want to go further or whatever. And in addition to that directness, which is very aggressive, and some people will say intrusive, new kind of spam, but it also works. So that, if I've just used me,
Mhm.
and I'm making a pitch to someone who really doesn't know me well, but sort of knows about what I'm doing, and money is behind it all. Of course, I'm looking for advertisers and sponsors or members, and I do want to talk to you about this membership thing that I'm launching. Brand new. Hi, this is Ed, and I thank you for tuning in to Global TV Talk Show, a unit on globalbusinessnews.net. We broadcast to the world, as you know by now. So I wanted to make sure that you understand that our programs are advertising supported. We're grateful for co-sponsors, advertisers. They have a marketing budget coupled with a strong desire to be associated with our top quality program. And of course, I'm grateful. Thank you. So for the next few minutes, you're going to see some commercials. It's mostly very low key, and our prices are very, very reasonable. Our exposure for the advertisers go 12 months and beyond. Some of our advertisers have been with us since March, April of 2020. And Google Analytics has tracked over 125,000 what they call audience page views, which means you looking at this page, that's a page view. Now, if you happen to go to one of our other shows or to our radio broadcasts or to our newspaper or magazine, those become additional page views as measured by Google Analytics. And so when they say 125,000 since spring of 2020 up through Labor Day, a month ago, that's pretty good numbers. And the past 30 days, Google Analytics has measured just under 6,000 audience page views. And that, according to them, is a 42% increase in audience participation over the month of August. So thank you very much. Well, here's our advertisers, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes or so, and we'll proceed with this interesting conversation. Thank you.
This episode from the meeting room of Global TV Talk Show is brought to you by
The Bridge School, the accredited international online private school of choice, at bridgek12.org.
Porch Light Rental and Destination Services. Reduce your renter lump sum or managed relocation costs. Visit them at porchlightrental.com.
And by airs.com. With our full range of services, we can help design and manage your international relocation. Find us at airs.com.
Primestone Partners, featuring corporate, government, and developer housing solutions, as well as senior-level advisory services. Find them at primestonepartners.com.
And by International Auto Source. We are the vehicle experts for expats, featuring all major brands of automobiles with flexible solutions and financing. On the web at intlauto.com.
Become a global player in your field.
Cross Culture to Go provides virtual support for your global business and career success.
We can help you thrive in 140 plus countries and markets.
On the web at crossculturetogo.com.
Something that's really neat is that the Bridge School partners with various organizations to provide learning for their students. For example, we partner with a major ballet company, and we are able to enroll several of their students into our school. So now not only is the student able to participate in a school and have a seamless transition while they're very active in their ballet career, but now they have other dancers that are with them that are doing some of the same courses. So it's almost becoming a camaraderie where they're taking similar courses, they're working together on their ballet, and really being able to form this great partnership with these organizations to provide a needed service. A lot of times there are student athletes who will spend hours and hours at the gym or at the basketball courts, wherever it is. And if they're attending a traditional school, they're in school from 8 to 3. They get a quick snack, and then they're at the gym for 3 to 4 hours in the evening. Coming to us and having that partnership, they're able to break that up throughout the day. They can have a morning practice, get some schooling in, have an afternoon practice, finish their schooling in the evening. So there's that flexibility. And additionally, if there are tournaments or performances, it's fantastic because if there's a week where they have shows straight through, they can take that week off of learning and then pick back up when they're done. So it offers this great flexibility. And for the program owners of these sports leagues, it is a win-win situation for them because they see this need. They see this need that their students need to make sure that they are obtaining the grades necessary to be successful adults in our country and in other countries. But it provides them an environment where they can be successful at both.
Hi, I'm Sergey Gorbatov.
I'm Angela Lane.
Together we're researchers, writers and practitioners in the field of human resources.
And we've also been multi-country, multi-assignment career expats.
We owe our professional development and growth to a very large extent to the international assignment opportunities that we have had.
But in a world where distributed work may become the norm, we also want to understand what will happen to the nature, duration, and purpose of international assignments.
Together with our colleague, Julian Dalzell from the University of South Carolina, we're undertaking a study on the future of expatriation.
And we'd value your contribution. You can participate in this important study by completing a simple 10-minute questionnaire.
Access the questionnaire by typing in your browser tinyurl.com/expert study. That's tinyurl.com/expert study. You can also find the link here on ED's website next to this video.
Thank you for joining us in this study. In return for your contribution, we'll provide you with a copy of our research.
And of course, you'll be invited to an exclusive webinar hosted by Ed, where we will share our findings right here on Global Business News.
And so please go to tinyurl.com/expat study. Take the survey so that we can better understand the future of expatriation.
Some people are sending a direct video message, like 1 minute or even less, and they're putting it out on Facebook or on Twitter. Well, that's a good name, isn't it? Trigger.
I like Trigger. A friend of mine's named Trigger.
Oh, what a slip of the tongue. So, and they're putting out a message that I would know my employees and customers are going to see. But I'm going beyond them. I'm letting the whole world see my message. So that's like a new thing about branding, using the video idea of just putting out a message of what my brand is supposed to mean.
Right. Or that I want you to hear my voice. You know, there's so many generational differences over the years in terms of how we communicate, right? So, we grow up in an area where everything was private and you wrote one-on-ones and you
Right.
had private phone calls. Well, then, skip a few generations, they grew up with their lives on Facebook. Okay, fine. I don't need to follow every single thing. However, from a marketing point of view, people connect with you when they know what's personal about you. My Instagram, my Facebook, my LinkedIn, I reached the most people with the most personal stories because we share our humanity together.
Well, I've
And I-
noticed that you've done that on a couple
Yeah,
of times.
and
I've
I-
seen
and
it
I-
on LinkedIn.
Right. And the thing is that it actually makes me feel really good to know that if someone is inspired by an article or it reaches them on a visceral level, a personal level, like the article I wrote on loss,
Right.
had over 4,000 people look at that.
Wow.
Because we're all experiencing loss this year. We've all experienced loss from the pandemic period, losing just being in person. But anyway, but getting back to the social media and the media part of it, yes, is I remember 10 or 15 years ago, someone saying to me, Diane, video is going to be everything one day. Well, it is. We're
It's
here.
It's here. It's here.
It's here. And that's it. It's here. And little children think nothing of FaceTiming grandma and grandpa. They're so used to it. Where are they going to be beyond this? They're not going to even think twice about it.
Yeah. So let's just think, okay, with Apple Watch
Mhm.
is a TV screen. I mean, it's a little weird, but it's like Dick Tracy. Remember Dick Tracy?
Right.
Uh,
Right.
Somebody else had that too. I can't remember the
Right.
cartoon character. So let's talk about, let's take what we have and let's go forward a little bit. Okay. And difficult discussions between boss and report, or boss and their boss. Never mind between people. I mean, there's so many different things, and
Mhm.
each one has its own culture, etiquette. I mean, that's not. I mean, etiquette. It almost sounds, and I don't mean to date myself or do anything with the word other than that maybe there's a better word, and I don't know what it is today, but it'll come to me at the middle of the night maybe. But maybe you already have that.
Probably a word like protocol.
Protocol means how to do things.
Protocol is how to do things correctly.
Yeah, so
What is
rather
the
than
protocol?
etiquette, which is kind of a female
Well,
thing,
etiquette,
but
well,
also is it
well,
sort of a gay thing? Or
no,
it's, or
no,
what? You know,
etiquette,
it's kind of
no,
a funny
no.
word.
No. Etiquette is for everyone. Etiquette applies more to manners and decorum and, how your behavior reflects who you are. And, that's a really good point, Ed. I want to go back and make a comment on that towards media
Please.
presence. Okay. Eating, I mean, I sipped my water here, but you do not eat when you're on the screen.
I know.
And that gets to the topic of when is it appropriate and when is it necessary to take you off the screen? The stories of people forgetting that they're online and going to the bathroom and doing things that you wouldn't want to see, they're old school, but people still have to remember they're online.
Right.
And you can't get that comfortable where you don't shut your screen off and mute yourself to excuse yourself, or that if you're eating, you put your, screen, your video, stop video, just for if you have to eat. That's the point. But anyway, getting back to the whole etiquette protocol, very important. I think this is why Zoom, as an example, is putting on more reaction options. So in other words, option to raise your hand, option to ask a question, option to clap. Also, the person managing the Zoom platform and the meeting can actually remove people. So if you had a person who was not acting the way that they should, you as the host can remove them from the meeting. They go into what you would know as the waiting room until further notice. So you can put them in the waiting room and chat with them, tell them what the issue was, and then you can bring them back in, but it's like almost a timeout.
I know, it's like, but
Right?
it's okay to, like
Excuse
on
me.
TV, let's say Brian Williams or somebody running a news show, and the guest all of a sudden has a coughing fit, all right? Or for some strange reason, all of a sudden they lose a voice, okay? And so the producer or somebody in the control room hits a button and they go to somebody else.
Right,
The
right.
camera
And
just
remember,
switches.
yes, and remember, on a different level than we're talking more on a personal level, but on a professional level and in meetings and events, you would not do this alone. You would have a production team. There are certain platforms out there. I mean, Zoom meetings has evolved. Teams has evolved, but then there are true platforms where you can have online virtual trade shows, conferences where you can have up to 10,000 plus people and different breakout rooms that you see in your screen. Oh, there are 20 breakout rooms. Where do I want to hop and pop into right now? What is the topic? And then you hear a speaker on a certain topic. So there are such wonderfully advanced platforms out there. And again, this gets back to the basics. You can be an advanced skier on the back bowl of your favorite mountain. But if you don't know how to fall and you don't know how to stand and you don't know the right equipment to use, you're going to freeze and the whole experience will not be what you want it to be.
Right, or you may get hurt too.
And you'll get hurt. Well,
Right.
you can get hurt online if you don't know what you're doing too.
This is a really good point. I don't want to end this conversation, but it is getting a little long in tooth.
I
So,
know.
so let's talk about the upcoming program that you and I are going to produce with Kiara, and she is well, like yourself, a teacher, a professional speaker,
Mhm.
and an advisor to businesses, right?
Yeah, well, Kira, which again, you'll find out, Kira Feely, she wrote a book, Steps to Win. She's been training salespeople on relationship management and how to win clients and how to increase business. And people need to be reminded and trained of this constantly. I think it's customer service, which is, again, because what is true customer service except fostering relationships? So I think you'll find a lot of tips from her when she
So
joins
give
us.
me an example, and this is of course a little PR for that upcoming
Yeah.
program, but we're talking about media presence, we're talking about executive presence, we're talking about now shifting a little bit, but it's related, is relationship. So how do you have the Zoom relationship? That maybe is it different than having teaching a salesperson what to do after the first visit?
That's a good question, Ed. So how do I, so I think there's a couple of things. Over the course of COVID, I became involved in 2 or 3 mastermind groups or weekly networking groups, right? And of course, at the beginning, there might have been 50 to 60 people on some of these. They've dwindled down as businesses opened up and people are busy. But I think the advantage is if you allow yourself, is make a list of the names, have a one-on-one conversation with the person after you meet them. I've met some wonderful people through this show and through being on with you. And I've for the most part, made it my business to have a conversation with them, connect with them afterwards, and just have a little bit of a one-on-one to build that, so that when the time comes and I see them in person, there's that connection.
That's
You know,
good.
and this is what I'd say too. It's really important to invest the time. I'm not as good at it as some of my colleagues, but getting to know things about you. You go to Hawaii, you're in San Diego, you obviously love the beach. You know, what is some personal things that we can connect on? Because I may not be able to help you today with a business referral or a sponsor referral or a partner referral, but down the road, I can guarantee you I'm going to think about you, and you're going to think about me if we have that connection.
Right, and that's a warm sincerity, person to person, rather than just trying to trick you into spending money with me today.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's trans.
Well, yeah,
That's
and I
a
think that's,
negative transparency rather than a positive. So what we're talking about is how to keep it positive, or how to maybe correct a mistake, and then try to find. It's a two-way street. One person can't do that.
it's a total two-way street, right? Yeah, it's a total two-way street. You don't know where people are going to end up or not end up, or how you can think about them. But yes, yeah. So
This is really fascinating.
I think on the opposite end, you can spend your whole life networking and networking and networking. But if you don't have a direction for yourself, that's also dangerous too. Like, you've got to focus on your work. So
Yeah. So it's like defining networking. What does that really mean? So I have this thing in my head. Somebody taught it to me some years ago. Because when you think of networking on a more basic elementary level, all right, you got your business cards and look okay, no food in your teeth and all that, and you're going to go out walking down the aisle in the convention center, and you're going to go from booth to booth saying, "Hi, I'm Ed, and here's my card, and can I get your card, and where you from, what do you do, you know, and can I give you a flyer here out of my pocket?" Bang, and you move on, right? And then you do the follow-up later. Or is there some other way of doing that? So that's the approach, the old approach. I mean, it still works, but that's the old approach of you got to push out who you are,
Mhm.
and the dust will fall where it falls, and then you pick up on warm leads and you go beyond. That's the old-fashioned way, but many
Well,
sales managers say do that. Don't
Right.
stop doing that. So 1 second. So my view, though, now as a result of COVID and everything gone this way online, and I'm reluctant to go to a big meeting, frankly. I've been invited and I haven't gone. But it's not who I know or who I think I know. It's who knows me the way I want them to know me. Just flip it around, and then that has I just got a chill thinking about that. And so
You just taught yourself what marketing is like nowadays, Ed.
Well-
You just taught yourself. You just went through this whole thing about, it's like, no, it's not like the card thing anymore. That's done. That's done. Yeah. People you don't, first of all, exchanging cards without a purpose or communication is exchanging cards, right? Just put me on a list, and that's all you are.
And it's got
Right.
my cooties on it too.
Yeah, but you're exactly right. We build up our brands, and we connect with a purpose. And at the bottom line is we're all there for one another. to build relationships and serve each other's needs, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's really interesting. I'm not going to give names because the person I'm thinking about right now is in a powerful business position, and they'll see this program someday. But this is a very strong person in an industry I have an interest in, long-term interest. And she said yesterday, in response to my question and invitation to be in my private interview on a talk show, one-on-one, she says, I've been on your site. I like what I see. I've looked at a couple of the programs, but I'm really busy. And send me a proposal, but no guarantee of when I can get you on my schedule. I mean, she was right up front, just like that. But I appreciate that. At first, I was taken aback by that because it's kind of like, Sir Lancelot taking out the sword and saying, and what's your name? Like, whoa, okay. But I'm not thinking about it for 24 hours or so. And in this context, you and I exchanging sensitive things, it was the right thing for this person in her new position of industry leadership power.
Yes, very much so, Ed. And
it was the right thing for her to do, is to just put me on notice that, yeah, I'm interested. I like what you're doing, but I don't know when we're going to be able to do this.
Well, that's a comment from somebody who is focused and who has priorities. And she's not saying no, but she's saying, send me a proposal. In other words, and I can say this to you, I love being on your show, but I'm at a point in my life right now where I'm so focused. I'm focused on, different business certificate programs, on this, on that. It has to have a purpose. And that brings up a whole different topic, and actually very much relevant to media presence. You don't need talking heads. When people listen to your show, they want to walk away with inspiration, with facts, with some kind of motivation that's topical to what the theme is of the show. Otherwise, I don't have the time. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm the worst. I fast forward podcasts. I fast forward things in my life as a producer. And I tell professional speakers this, and I'm one now. I tell them, I'd put your tape on, and in less than 10 seconds, I knew if you were appropriate. Because we're all casting and we make those first impressions, which is perfect when you speak about media presence. We make a first impression in what? Less than 3 to 5 seconds. So how you perceive me, how I'm dressed, the colors I'm wearing. If I had put my jacket on, which I use in other interviews, my blazer, totally different look. When COVID first hit, right. Remember my famous bandanas?
Yeah.
But that was my brand at the time, as I wore the bandanas. And so again, you're absolutely right. But getting back to her answer, no, it was a very clear, direct, honest answer. Let me make it worth my while so that we both win.
So you're color coordinated. This meeting is blue, right? And my meeting's red, sort of. But if I had a turquoise wall, all right, we'd clash. And like, ooh, wow, I don't want to look at this anymore.
Well, right.
Okay, but now you're wearing these fancy glasses, which is more than an eye shield or a vision mechanism. It's fashion. Big, bold, make a statement. It sort of brings together all the colors, of
right.
your background and what you're wearing and your eyes. And it's like I'm glued.
It's deliberate, right? It's
Right.
my brand. And the thing is, again, blue is a very, you'll see it in broadcast all the time because it's a very soft color to look at. It's a very good color to look at.
You
So
can get into it. Just
you
stare
can,
at it.
yes, yes. And it'd be really interesting, Ed, and I think I'm gonna hold this to you. I'm gonna work with you and we're gonna experiment with some backgrounds for you.
So I had the logo. Paul had me do the logo with the world that we have, and then the other thing with all the cameras and the lights, global TV. But I found those to be distracting.
No, I think it's too much,
Yeah.
but I'd like to work with you just to see what we can do. And take a
Okay.
vote with your audience.
Yeah. Good. Okay. I'm game. Thanks for
know?
being on Global TV.
Oh, it's
Talk
always
Show.
fun. Thanks for the conversation. We covered a lot of topics. I think we still have another show on networking. That's a whole different topic.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
networking online and in person, but thank you.
And remember, it's who knows me, not who I know.
That's correct.
And
And
what
I
do
drop
that-
your name everywhere.
And what do I know about me? Oh my God. I don't know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Thank you, Ed. Take care.
Thank you for joining us in the meeting room at Global TV Talk Show.
Have a wonderful day, and stay safe.